Hey everybody, it's Dominic from the Primetime Treasure eBay store and YouTube channel. Welcome back to another video in which I am going to introduce a brand new feature called Ask Primetime. And what Ask Primetime is all about is that if you have a question that you want me to answer, just drop it down below in the description section. And if I feel that it's something that I could do a separate video on, then that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to give you a shout out in the video. Now, that doesn't mean that every question that gets asked in the comment section is one that I'm going to do a separate video on. I might just answer it really quickly in the comment section, or I might answer it in detail in the comment section, or I might just say, hey, great question. I'm going to do a video on that tonight or this week. So I'm doing that because I like to interact with you. I read all the comments. I try to respond to all the comments. And plus, I want to keep this channel fresh. I think if it's going to grow, that it needs to incorporate new and additional features along the timeline of the channel so that it's not just the same thing over and over. I'm still going to keep doing haul videos, product reviews, tips and tricks, that sort of thing, but I want to do this part as well. And so I'm going to start the inaugural Ask Primetime feature with Andrea W. So I don't know, Andrea, maybe this will be something that goes down in history one day that you're the first person for this feature. Who knows? But Andrea has been great because she's asked a bunch of really good questions, and she also left a really good comment in my video that I did on how to make clothes that are new with tags, smelling clean and fresh without washing them if maybe they have a musty smell on them based on where they were stored. Andrea had another good suggestion on what to do in that situation, and I think you should check out what she had to say because it's a useful tip. And if you have a useful tip you want to share, you could add that as well in that video, in this video, or any other of the 100 plus videos that I've done at this point. Again, I want this to be an interactive community. And with that being said, let me get to Andrea's question. Andrea's question was, do I budget my sourcing for the day or for the or by the week, and how much money do I carry around, how much cash do I carry around with me for an estate sale versus a garage sale? So let me just answer the question as best as I can for my situation. And please understand that just because this is what I do doesn't necessarily mean that this is going to work for everybody. Everyone, of course, is in different situations. So while I do not consciously go into the day or the week with a specific budget in mind, other people may feel the need that they have to do that, and that could be perfectly okay, especially if they are just starting out and they have more limited sources by which to draw from financially to make purchases, and they might have to take a more conservative approach at first. But as you grow your reselling business, the need to be that strict on your budgeting for sourcing will really go down. At least that's how it is for me. Because just think about it. If you only have, let's say, $100, if you're just starting out, you're young, maybe you're just doing this, you're 18 years old, 19 years old, you have $100 to spend, then yeah, you probably have to go in and budget that when you go to a garage sale and you say, all right, you know what, I'm going to be really, really careful. I'm not going to spend more than $20 at the garage sales this weekend. I'm going to see what I could do, try to flip it on eBay. Maybe you take that $20 and you turn it into $150. Then from that $150, you maybe take $50 the next week and you go out and you try to invest that, and maybe from that you make $200, and then from that you take $100, and then you go out the next week and you go to some estate sales or flea markets or something like that. So that's a completely valid approach, and so I'm not saying not to do that, but what I'm saying is that once you get to the point where, let's say, you have tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars in profit that you could draw from as a source, then when you're in that situation and you're going out to garage sales and estate sales, you're really not going to be in the mindset that you really have a budget that you have to stick to, because in general, on an average weekend when you're going out to these sales, you're probably not going to spend more than $100, although there are times where you will. So for example, this past weekend, if you look at my haul video, the first thing that I did was I purchased a comic book collection with about 900 books or so for $75. So right there, right off the bat, I made a fairly big purchase. Now, then again, at the estate sale that I went to, I got a lot of great items, and all I spent for that was $19.50. And there were a bunch of other garage sales that I went to that I spent a quarter or 50 cents. In terms of the amount of cash that I carry on hand, for me to feel comfortable based on what my business is and what my business model is, in which I want to be prepared to make that bigger purchase, maybe something that costs $150 or something like that, or even $200 if it's a really big lot of something that's just incredible that I really feel like I want to get, to add to my business inventory. I try to keep on me somewhere between $150 and $300 in cash. Sometimes it's less than that. Sometimes it's $100 or less, depending on if I was able to get to the bank or not during the week. So it really just depends. But that's why though I try to make sure that I can easily get to a bank if I need to in between going to sales. And the way that I do that is I make sure that my bank account is located in the bank that has the most physical locations with ATMs in the geographic areas where I source. I don't want to be in a situation where I have to constantly keep going back to any bank or to a bank that is going to charge high bank fees for withdrawing things, paying $4, $5, $6, because trust me, those expenses add up. There's also the time factor involved, even if you're not paying any fees, for why you might want to, take out a few $100s at a time and keep on hand. You just obviously have to be careful that you don't lose your wallet or you don't lose your purse, because then all your money's obviously going to be gone in one shot. So that's one of the downsides of carrying around a bunch of cash, is that you got to be careful in terms of making sure you don't misplace where you're keeping your funds. As a safety tip though, what I would say is if you're going to meet someone on a Craigslist purchase, for example, it's someone you don't know, and it's more of a private type of situation where you don't really, this is, by the way, why you should check out my Craigslist video on how not to get killed on Craigslist ventures. But one of the things you want to make sure that you do, that I would advise in that situation, is not to walk into an unknown situation with hundreds of dollars on you. Keep that money in the car, keep it in a place that you think is safe. Maybe if you just know you're going in to make a $50 purchase, you just keep the $50 on you. And if you had a couple other $100, you keep that in your car in the glove compartment or some other place that's safe. This is obviously to avoid or try to reduce the chances that you're going to get robbed and lose a bunch of cash if that were to happen. But obviously there's safety measures you can take to prevent that from happening to begin with. Lots of people will meet at police stations and that sort of thing. I don't want to get into a whole big discussion of that because I have a whole separate video on that. So I don't want to veer too far off of that, but I'm just mentioning that while we're talking about how much cash you carry around, just to talk about that one thing about being safe. If you're going around to garage sales and you're going around to estate sales, you're not going to get robbed in the middle of an estate sale. It's just not going to happen. That chances where that's going to happen is more you're meeting someone shady who you never met before at some street corner to try to make some type of purchase for $300 or something like that. Maybe you're purchasing a bunch of cell phones, for example, which is notorious for those type of stick-up situations. So you want to be real. You do want to be real careful. But again, I'm not going to go into that much more detail. Check out my other video if you want to know about those safety tips. So that's the general answer. I don't think there's a big difference between whether or not you're going to garage sales or estate sales in terms of how much money that you want to carry on hand. You could go to an estate sale where you only spend $2. Or you could go to one where you spend $50, or you could go to a garage sale where you only spend $2 versus $50. You go to a garage sale where there's barely anything in it, and then you go to an estate sale where the whole house is packed, stacked, full. Then you go to the next estate sale, there's barely anything in there, and you're saying to yourself, why the heck are these people having an estate sale? There's nothing in it but like 2 pieces of furniture. Then you go to a garage sale where the whole entire garage is filled, the driveway's filled, the sides of the house are filled, everything's filled up on the lawn. So you get into that situation too. So it really just depends. There's no real firm, rule of thumb in terms of, how much money you should necessarily bring to each. I think in most situations, for most people, the general answer would be carrying $100 or less. You should be fine on most days. Again, for me though, I like to purchase big lots of things. And so I want to make sure that I have that cash on hand to make that purchase. Again, I don't want somebody else moving in and grabbing that item from me if I leave the situation, or I don't want that person rethinking it and then saying, you know what, I don't want to make this deal now. I get cold feet on it. I want to make sure I make that purchase and get out of there. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap things up because I have things I have to wrap up. I have some items that were purchased during the course of making this video. I have to make sure I get those out by tomorrow morning because I do have one day handling time. So I'm going to get those things ready. Andrea, I hope that I answered the question to your satisfaction. If so, please make sure, Andrea, you smash that like button. Make sure others who like this video hit that like button. Subscribe to the Primetime Treasure YouTube channel. Also, obviously, if you want to take part in Ask Primetime, drop a question down below in the comment section. And again, if it's something I think I could do a video on, I will do so. Or if just leave a general comment if you have one. That's fine too. It doesn't always have to be a question. I love seeing the kind of things you have to say. And lastly, you know what's coming. I'm going to plug the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. That's my Facebook group. Make sure you come by and join that. It is so simple. All you have to do is go down below into the description section and just click the link for the Facebook group and just submit a join request. And once you do that, if everything looks okay with your profile, you are in. And I think you're going to enjoy it just alone for the be on the lookout item of the day that I do. And again, that's free. There's no charges, there's no expenses, anything like that. So come on in. It's a great group. We've got hundreds of people now. I think you'll enjoy it. Everyone is interacting really great with one another. Nothing crazy going on, nothing real contentious. Just a good group of resellers, who are just trying to stick together and, ask questions, support one another, that sort of thing. So I'll see you at the next video, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it.